Let me show you some of the collection in my library. Let's begin with something sweet. Chocolate. Wow, this is an illustrated book about chocolates, its varieties and various recipes. This is Anne Frank's personal diary narrating her experiences during the Nazi regime. These two are biographies of Christian martyrs and saints. Well, this is about yoga and keeping fit with plenty of pictures and health tips. These two are some of the most popular bestsellers on self-development. These books are by famous Indian writers Chetan Bhagat, Amitav Ghosh, and then Arundhati Roy and Vandana Shiva, recording their ideas and opinions about current issues varying from cleanliness to nuclear testing, from republic to biopiracy. These are essays with critical thoughts and highly philosophical ideas. Can general and history be left out? No, never. And of course, we have encyclopedias, journals, magazines and newspapers. What a variety of topics in various sizes and forms, with and without pictures. And in all these books, the type or the kind of language that is used is what is called prose. So let me briefly introduce you to the form of prose and trace its origin and development. To begin with, prose is defined as written or spoken language in its ordinary form without metrical structure. So prose is distinguished from poetry in its closer resemblance to everyday patterns of speech. Prose is derived from the Latin prosa or proversa oratio, which means straightforward discourse, that is, ordinary written or spoken expression. So prose is simple, direct, and uses language more as a transparent medium for conveying information about the world or about the fictional world. So now we have two types, fiction and non-fiction. And what we will concentrate is on non-fiction. So prose is a powerful medium of expressing ideas, facts, laws, principles, and it appeals to the mind. So let us see the features of prose. First, it is as defined, it is written or spoken form in its ordinary form without metrical structure. In the sense, it doesn't concentrate on sound patterns like rhythm and rhyme, but rather on the content. And then, prose is written using full grammatical sentences which then constitute paragraphs, whereas in verse or what is commonly called poetry, we have the stanza formation. And then another very varied difference between prose and poetry is that it has or it can have dialogues, headings and subheadings, and graphics, in the sense pictures, illustrations or charts. So, its simplicity and loosely defined structure enables prose to take up different functions. First, prose is used in speech and orations to express the thoughts and ideas of the speaker. Then, it is the standard and formal style of writing, topical and factual writing. And then, it is the common language of newspapers, journals, magazines, biographies, autobiographies, memoirs. And then it is also used in literature in the sense novels, drama, short stories, essays, compositions, they all use prose. And then prose is the language used to explain science, history, philosophy and other such topics. Though normal everyday speech is in prose and most of the people think in prose, let us see prose as a literary device or a literary form. Let us move on to the early English prose. English prose existed right from the Old English period and gained attention during the 15th century. The early English prose consists of theological writings or religious writings in the form of sermons, biographies of martyrs, and then historical records of the adventures of English explorers, and then philosophical discourse and religious and educational prose. Bible translation during the 15th century greatly enabled or established prose as a recognized literary device. The most common form of prose is the essay, which is defined as a short composition in prose. To trace the history of English essay, we have to go back to 16th century France. The term essay is derived from the French essay, which means to test, to try, or to attempt. Essays were first written by Montaigne, the French scholar, to express his personal feelings and emotions. Francis Bacon in England modeled his essays on Montaigne's and came out with a collection of essays in the year 1597. While Montaigne's essays were personal, trying to express his personal feelings, experiences and impressions, Bacon's essays were aphoristic, that is objective, impersonal reflections on wisdom and philosophy. So the topics on which Bacon wrote were like truth, studies, charity, reading, books, love, marriage and the like. Let's move on to the 17th century. 17th century essays were primarily sermon writings or religious documents, and then there were predominantly pamphlets related to history, politics and philosophy. Some of the major writers of the 17th century are Robert Burton, Sir Thomas Browne, Thomas Fuller, Jeremy Taylor and John Milton. And of course we have Dryden's critical essays, his critical thoughts on drama and his thoughts on the process of translation. We move on to the 18th century. Periodicals emerged during the 18th century. Periodicals were dailies and weekly magazines. And the two most important literary figures are Sir Richard Steele and Joseph Addison, who came out with the Tatler and the Spectator, and series of essays were published in these periodicals. And these essays were meant to be true and faithful representations or pictures of the 18th century people, their manners and behaviors. And they also intended to bring about moral and social reform among its readers. The important character pictured in these essays are Sir Roger de Coverley, and he is an imaginary character. And then we have the 18th century famous essayist Oliver Goldsmith, and his Citizen of the World is a series of imaginary letters written by Altani, a man from China, who talks about or who documents the 18th century England. And these essays can be categorized as character sketches that describe the manners and the behavior and the style of 18th century people. Moving on to the 19th century, we have Charles Lamb, who wrote the Essays of Elia, that are personal opinions and recollections of the author. And then we have William Hazlitt, who writes of political and who expresses his political and literary views. And then of course we have the Romantics, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley and Keats, who represent their critical ideas in their prefaces, and Coleridge writes about his critical thoughts in Biographia Literaria and Keats in his letters. Moving on to the 20th century. 20th century prose is of eclectic nature that ranges from personal essays that are simple and conversational in tone to that of philosophical discourse that are complicated and obscure. And then of course we have ideas from great thinkers and philosophers getting translated into English and getting its or finding its way into the English literature. We have ideas of Albert Camus and the political manifestos of Marx and Engels being incorporated into English literature. And some of the light-hearted essays of 20th century were written by writers like A.G. Gardner and Bertrand Russell and E.V. Lucas, who shared their personal experiences, like their experiences at an auction house or umbrella morals or how to cross a road and the like. Moving on to American prose. The American prose can be traced from exploration narratives to histories and then religious and political documents and transcendental writings of Henry David Thoreau and then African American writers starting with their slave narratives and then the Harlem Renaissance and they being accepted into the mainstream of American literature, and then we have women writing, and then the 21st century is marked by its multicultural aspect with different representations from ethnic minorities. Other common forms of prose is what is found in speeches and letters. We have world famous leaders addressing audience on historic occasions. National leaders like Gandhi have addressed people on historical political moments. We have Martin Luther King Jr. addressing the Americans of his dream of a unified America. The most oft-quoted definitions of democracy is from the speech of John F. Kennedy. Similarly, we have letters as documents of prose. Before the advent of telephone, email and mobile phones, letters were a prominent source of communication. Letters, both personal and political, convey much of thoughts of the writers. Letters were inspiring, informative and even critical. The examples given here are letters by the former American President Abraham Lincoln, who writes to the teacher of his son. And then we have letters written by Sarojini Naidu to her friends, her son, and on various other issues. We also have letters of Tagore and Nehru, which are political documents on various issues. Let us now move on to the current trends in prose. We observe that boundaries have blurred. Prose has ceased to be in the confines of limited literary domain and has spread its wings far and wide. Essays are not just inclusive of literary criticism, political manifestos, learned arguments, observations of the writers, observations of daily life, recollections and reflections of writers, but then it has moved on to be highly eclectical. The current trend is that prose is exceptionally diverse, and we find that the content of prose is not just subjective but also objective. It can be on concrete and abstract subjects. It can be romantic or realistic. It can be philosophical, religious, social, cultural and whatnot. We now have writings on gender issues, and irrespective of age and gender, we have writers across the globe. And then science has made various contributions in the field of prose. And then of course we have the internet. We have technical writing and content writing, websites and blogs greatly contribute to the advancement of prose. We also have various blogs that bring out the creativity of amateur and freelance writers. And then of course we have journalistic prose that is inclusive of travel writing, memoirs, articles, feature writings and cover stories. The concept of essay has been extended to other media beyond writing, and we now even have film essay and photo essay. Let us see some of the examples of contemporary prose. We have books that document culture and lifestyle and that of history. We have general topics like emotional quotient and cuisine. We have books on religion and politics. We have books on science and then journalistic prose. and travel writing and memoir. The difference between memoir and a biography is that biography just mentions the life and times of a writer, while memoir documents the feelings, the attachments and the emotions of the writer. And then we have websites and blogs. These are suggestions for reading. Of course, we need to read newspapers and magazines like Reader's Digest, wherein we come across interesting prose pieces, long and short. And then we have blog spots like New English System and FC English Matters. And FC English Matters is our own departmental blog spot. And then we have websites like theprose.com, englishtrackers.com and englishblog.com. Thank you.